Good afternoon. I just thought to shake you a bit. Well, good afternoon and welcome you all for today's Engineers Day event. As you all know, Engineers Day, we give this as a tribute to Sir Vishweshwaraya. He was one of the first and finest engineers what India has produced. His contribution to our Indian system when he was there during his era is quite significant. He developed various systems and technologies where he contributed in constructing dam. He developed a system to restrict flood for city of Hyderabad and so on and so forth. If you read about him, you will find that his vision was to apply his knowledge to direct all the resources available in nature for the use and convenience of man. What a novel idea he had. And interestingly, our today's guest, Dr. Anil Rajvanshi, is also doing something in a similar fashion. Dr. Anil Rajvanshi is a director and honorable secretary at an NGO, NARI, that is Nimkar Agricultural Research Institute. This is at Fulton, Maharashtra. If you see his work, he has focused his work on renewable energy, is energy-based cooking and lighting, power generation from agricultural residues, renewable fuel production from agriculture, electric cycle rickshaws. You will be surprised to know that he was the first all over the globe to come up with the concept of electrical cycle rickshaws, of which the article was published way back in 1995 in an MIT magazine. He has contributed on the similar lines for water purification and effluent treatment through use of renewable energy, and so on and so forth. If you see, he is basically a mechanical engineer. He has done his master's from IIT Kanpur, and he has done his PhD from University of Florida. He worked there as a faculty for 2.5 years, and then something ticked. Something ticked where he probably started feeling restless, and he took one of those bold decisions, which in those days was rarely you would find anyone to do. He thought of coming back to India, apply his learning and training for developing rural India. From that's where he came back and joined this NGO NARI. He is having various interests. You have seen the contributions what he has. He's also having one more different dimension, that is, he is also exposed. He also writes books. He has also come up with a book by name Nature of Human Thoughts, where he has clubbed 4 different elements: mind, matter, spirituality, and technology. He is very much interested on spiritual lines and believes in holistic development of an individual. He is having a lot of dimensions on his side. So if you see what all we have talked about him, he is a great innovator, a spiritual leader, a teacher, and on top of all this, he is an engineer by heart. So I would like to welcome him for our today's event, and I would request Govind sir to give him bouquet as a token of our affection to him. I leave it to Dr. Anil Rajvanshi to take over the stage and share his thoughts and ideas to us.
Hello. Okay. Well, I am delighted and really honored to come here and talk to you. I must thank Rahul and his colleagues to invite me. You know, it's always nice to hear all these nice things said about you, but the reality is very different. Since I come here, talk to you, I write all these things on the web, so you think that there's something great, but the reality is very different. But anyway, when you come to Fulton, you can see the reality. To tell you frankly, I did not know very much about Emerson. So when Rahul sent me the things about Emerson, then I realized it's a fantastic company, Fortune 500 company. So you must all be very smart engineers. And I'm sure that all of you, a lot of you came to join Emerson also for money and for improving your career. Today I'm going to talk a little more about and little different from money. Money is important, but there are other things in life which are even more important. And Janoon and passion, I think, is the most important thing, because I have done that with my life, and I hope after I finish my lecture that I should be able to inspire some of you to take up trying to help about these forgotten Indians. Giving back to society and helping light up the lives of these poor people is very enjoyable. And who are these rural poor? They are the forgotten Indians about whom nobody writes, cares or thinks about. Yet they are the largest number of Indians, and if they are not brought into the mainstream development, then we may have a serious issues of social unrest. Large instances of such unrest in various parts of the country are an outcome of their expectations and what they have. They have hardly anything. And what do they have? And this is what I'll start my talk. 75 million households, almost 300 million people have no electricity. You in Pune are very fortunate to have electricity almost 24/7, but some of these people have no electricity. And I'm sure some of you who have come from rural India will know what the situation is. We in Fulton, which is the western part of western Maharashtra, which is very progressive, within 5 to 10 kilometers of our institute, there were 50 to 60 huts which had never seen electricity in their life. And this is a sad situation, even 69 years after independence. Yeah, sure. Around 60% of rural population live in miserable conditions. Sad state, even 68 years of our life. Oops, I put the button, wrong button. Is it the right button? Bottom one. Mostly use kerosene for lighting in polluting lanterns. I have to see this, huh? So. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll. So mostly use kerosene for lighting in polluting lanterns, and more than 200 million tons per year of biomass for cooking in inefficient, primitive and smoky stores. And they use unclean drinking water. In fact, this is the state of affairs of all these poor people who study in this lantern, and this is how the smoke-filled huts are. According to WHO, World Health Organization, around 6 lakh deaths per year take place because of indoor air pollution, and 1.5 million die because of polluted drinking water. And this is very severe when the children are very small. Between the age of 1 to 5, they are most susceptible to dying of diarrhea and etc. Modern technology has not touched their lives. Other India has aspirations of sending man to the moon and Mars and becoming economic power. What good is it? What good is it when 70% of our population lives in utter misery, and yet we take great pride in sending the man to the moon? There's nothing wrong in developing systems and technologies, and you as a very big company are doing that, but we should also think about how do we utilize our knowledge for improving the quality of life. Around 400 million people in rural areas survive on less than rupees 100 per day. This is a fact of life. When I give the lowest, what the government has said, this is the type of money that most of these poor people have. This is a graph. How many of you have seen this graph? Human Development Index, which is a combination of so many things of what the quality of life should be, is related to energy. And this is the energy, which is basically kilogram per oil equivalent per person. And you can see India has a very small amount of a very small amount of footprint is 550 kilogram, and our HDI is around 0.55. In fact, the sad part is that the latest figures that came out, this graph is a little old, the HDI has even gone further down in India. A high quality of life, so-called high quality of life, like Scandinavian countries or United States, they are in the range of 0.95. But they also consume huge amount of energy. For example, in the United States, they consume close to 335 gigajoules per person per year, whereas in India, which is here, we consume around 35 gigajoules per person per year. And rural India, it consumes almost 1/10 of the amount of energy that the average consumes. From our work, we have shown that around 50 gigajoules per person per year can jack up the HDI to almost 0.8, 0.82, which is a good quality of life. This is the quality of life that the Europeans had in 1970s, and this is a doable goal. The thing is, how do I provide increased energy from local resources is a great challenge for all engineers. Keep this in mind because energy is the most important thing. What is the rural scenario? Rural poor are not subhuman beings. They have the same number of neurons as the rest of us and aspire to have a good quality of life. If they are given the opportunity, they would like to have exactly the same quality of life with a flick of button light, with a flick of valve, nice LPG gas for cooking and other amenities. How do we as engineers provide that quality of life or at least some modem of certain things by which their life can be improved is a great challenge, and I hope to tell you about what can be done. They cannot wait indefinitely for trickle-down goods and services. Mass media has fueled their aspirations which can be fulfilled with affordable technologies and services. In fact, the fastest selling item in rural India is a mobile phone. Mobile phone is a remarkable revolution of India, not only because of the availability of the phone, but the reduction in the cost of calls. Now because of this so much tamasha, the call dropping, etc., things are going in a reverse direction. But India is the first country in the world to reduce the cost of the call, so it has become very, very easy and cheap in rural India. The interesting part is that mobile phones are no more a means of communication, they are also a means of entertainment. Most of these people, they listen to the radio, they can see even the movies. So mobile phone provides them a remarkable leap into the entertainment, no matter how small the screen is. And that is what we should, as engineers, should do, is how do we provide technologies by which they can charge the mobile phone, make a better phone, make it easily available, and so on and so forth. How to provide goods and services which improve the quality of life is the biggest challenge for engineers and scientists. Need for affordable innovations. Affordable innovations become affordable when you provide with a good way of increasing their income, and this is what we'll talk about. Provision of affordable energy from local resources can provide these services and increase the wealth in rural areas. And so what are the innovations required? The innovations are required in household sector, decent living, farming sector, decent livelihood. Majority of the people living in rural India, the farming is the major source of income. And how do we improve farming and tremendous amount of technology is needed, and I'll tell you about it. In fact, these two things are also the same things that you and I are concerned about. How to have a good house, how to have a good life, and how to have a good job. And so rural people are no different. And how do we utilize the local resources and provide these things is the biggest challenge. So innovations for rural households. Mantra for development should be improving the lives of rural poor one household at a time. This is a challenge. If we take one hut and try to improve and make the life better, how to provide the energies, how to provide the facilities, then that is what we would have done as a great contribution. So what do we need? We need excellent light. No matter from where it comes from, it should be excellent light, which should be equal to greater than 3000 lumens. For some of these LEDs, some of these fluorescent lights, they provide more than 3000 lumens. Solar lanterns, by the way, provide less than 600 lumens. We need very clean cooking fuel. It could be liquid, gaseous, because of ease of control and high energy density, and a small refrigerator for storing milk and vegetables. A lot of these poor people, they cook only once in a day, And if they cannot keep the food in a refrigerator or a lower temperature, it gets spoiled. We want clean drinking water, very efficient fan. We don't want air conditioning. But majority of times, in fact, how many of you have gone to a hut and stayed there? Some of you have come from rural India. One. That's all? 2, 3, 4. Yeah, more hut. Okay. Even at night, even during the daytime, these huts are very dark because the way they are made to remove or keep the heat out. So you don't require a very great amount of cooling inside, just a fan which will flow the air through your body. And that is a great challenge to develop a fan which has a maximized flow of air with a minimum wattage. And electric motor bikes for mobility. As I said, the cell phones are the fastest selling item, and so is the two-wheelers. And most of the two-wheelers run on petrol, and there is a need to develop electric motorbikes so that you can produce electricity locally and then charge them. And I feel ultimately the availability of wholesome food, about which I will talk a little later on. Provision of affordable grid electricity in rural India is a distant dream. Government of India keeps on saying that we will provide, but there is a huge amount of, in fact, today, as of today, we have a shortfall of close to 150,000 megawatt of electricity, and this will require a huge amount of to bring the Planning Commission has brought out a document by which says that we should have electricity for all and a certain quality of electricity, because just like the HDI versus energy, there is a HDI versus electricity, and if we go for it with that, there is a huge amount of electricity to put in the grid, and I don't think that it will come in the near future. So why we require is a great contribution of engineers like you to develop devices which require least amount of electricity or no electricity at all. And if it is required, then we should have a decentralized grid. Efficiency increases when energy resources match end needs. Decentralized energy production is needed because this is how it will match the need to the resource. What should be the strategy for, since we are going to talk about innovations, so I thought a little bit more on what should be the strategy for innovations, especially for rural innovations. Be the reason, but by natural evolution they died, and we became a very efficient machine called human beings. We are the outcome from dinosaur, and this happens in all our design. When we design first things, our bigger power plants, bigger systems, you're all very young, but in 1990 I saw the first mobile phone. This was this big. It could make only 2 calls. That was around 2 kilograms. And today you can't even see the mobile if it is put in your ear. All systems go through this cycle, and in that process the efficiency also keeps on increasing, and this is what we should be following from nature, because biomimicry should be the mantra of design, and if we follow that, then all our systems go through that evolutionary process. This also goes through a very interesting thing. Have you seen a firefly? Jugnu. Does it go at 3,500 degrees Kelvin? It's a room temperature. Nature developed technologies by which it could convert chemical energy into light energy directly. There are so many examples of fluorescence, it's called as a bioluminescence, and yet we go through this process because all our processes go through this thing which we call temperature. We are at this time where all energies, everything that we do, our automobiles, everything, they run at a very high temperature. Then we cool it down, etc. If we develop technologies which run at room temperature, that is what the evolution of technology is. So that's how we should think in trying to innovate new ideas and new technologies. High technology needed for rural development. This has been my mantra, and I'm very proud. When everybody is talking about tinkering, I personally feel that more high technology is required for rural development because the resources are much less, and to convert those less resources into the useful end product requires a great amount of thinking, great amount of ingenuity, and great amount of technological finesse. So what is called is the frugal innovations. It has become a mantra now with Prahlad and others, but this is what we have been doing for talking about last 15-20 years. Oops. It allows maximum extraction of materials and energy from dilute locally available resources like solar, biomass, etc., And hallmark of evolution is size reduction, as I said, increased efficiencies, room temperature process, equilibrium surroundings, and robustness. This is how nature has evolved. Biomimicry as a mantra for design. Most of our designs are following this route, cell phones, power plants, etc. Societies are like Prigoghine's dissipative structures. I am giving the philosophy of design, philosophy of innovation. Prigogine was a 1977 Nobel Prize winner in nonlinear thermodynamics. He developed a system, he developed a basis of what is called as the dissipative structures. If you heat a water in a, as a lot of you mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, if you heat a water in a container, then the heat goes from bottom to top through what is called as the convection cells. Convection cells are basically dissipative structures. They dissipate energy from bottom to top, and in the process, the fluid flows. I consider societies as a dissipative structures. They are dependent upon the quality and quantity of energy. There's a great thinking in it. Just think of it. All our development work in this country and the world is towards urbanization, because we are working on these extremely high quality energy called petrol, oil, etc. These are very dense energies, and because of that quality of energy, we are producing very monolith, huge megacity based societies. If we work on solar, wind, biomass, which are decentralized, we will produce a decentralized, holistic society. And that is what Gandhiji preached, and that I think through our high technology, we can do that. Because it will be much nobler, it will be much simpler, and nicer. I spent today almost 45 minutes from this, from your entering into the, this place, into coming to your company. What a waste of time and effort. If we have, this country is a huge country, and if we all become a decentralized society, it will be much, much better. Third industrial revolution will come because of 3D printing, additive manufacturing. In fact, I went and, I give lectures in MIT, etc. In 1996, in the Media Lab, I saw for the first time a prototype of a 3D manufacturing. I could immediately see that this is the future of India, because this is what Gandhiji said, we should have a decentralized manufacturing. How wonderful it will be to have a desktop manufacturing where anybody can manufacture anything. Materials will come from locally. This is a dream. And you as smart engineers can make that dream as a possibility. I'll now show you a little bit, this is the huts. This is how the huts all over the country. This is a hut near our Fulton. Inside, even during the daytime, because of the they want to make it cool, it's very dark. They use this open flame running on kerosene, is called a chimney, and then they have the wood stove, etc. This is our land stove, which we will talk about. So we started thinking, because these poor people we used to see, we said, what can we do for them to provide a very high quality of energy for light, for cooking, which will be as good as what we use in our house, and to help them improve the quality of life. And that process we developed what is called as a land stove. Land stove is a combination of lantern plus stove. So what it is, this is a stove where a high temperature, this runs on, by the way, now on kerosene and diesel, and this is a cylinder which can have for 1 week. And we developed the whole system in such a manner that just like LPG, you open the valve, the fluid flows, and here the fluid evaporates and converts into light. And the heat of light, a complete cooking takes place. This cooker is based upon the heat pipe principle, where the steam helps in the cooking, slow cooking, and then you can remove this cooker and put a tawa, and you can produce bhakri or roti. And in this process, the whole thing became extremely efficient. One device provides excellent light. It's equivalent to 200 to 300 watt electric light bulb, cooks a complete meal for a family of 4 and 5, and makes 10 liters of water potable, because after the cooking is done, there is still enough time for the children to have light for the reading, so you can boil water also. It runs on kerosene and diesel, The capacity is 1500 watt. Now some of you, I do not know how much you work in your regular cookers, that you all use LPG gas. Your stoves are designed for 2.5 kilowatt to 3 kilowatt, the burners. Now in 1.5 kilowatt, I have been able to do all these things because of increased efficiency of this cooker. We have tested this in 25 unelectrified huts for 1 year, an excellent response. And land stove is as easy to use and clean as LPG. There is no smoke or any soot. It is 3 to 5 times more efficient than electric cooking and lighting. We did a very detailed LC analysis. So I am giving you some sort of a feeling that even for a rural area, we do very sophisticated analysis, development, etc. And I need more engineers from you, because my biggest problem is I know good engineers want to come and work in Fulton. So if you can come, if you can help, you may stay here, but you help in developing. There are so many things that need to be done, and we'll talk about it. Present cost is around 10,000 rupees, because we made it locally and in our workshop and other places. In mass production, we expect to have it around 4,000, and women are ready to pay rupees 20 to 30 per day. The biggest problem that we had when we put this, it was running on kerosene, and kerosene the government removed, so no kerosene is available. So the poor people could not run it. Yeah. So where should I? This has excellent combustion. The CO level, I'll do it. The CO levels are less than 3 to 4 ppm. We took the CO meter, measured the ppm found in the huts, and the particulate emissions. We developed a very interesting particulate measurement system. Are 15 to 20 microgram per meter cube, which is less than what you get in your LPG. So it is less than the WHO standard. So it's a very, for the first time, we developed a system which was as good as a LPG system. All fuels are dirty. See, anytime when I talked about this, people immediately would criticize, oh, you are going back to Stone Ages, you are again using kerosene, you are again using the diesel. The moment you talk about kerosene, people immediately think that it is the dirtiest fuel. All fuels are dirty, including your LPG. Every fuel is dirty. Natural gas, it is a combustion. As an engineers, we should think about it is a combustion which makes it clean. And as engineers, we should develop technologies which can utilize the local. If tomorrow you as an engineer can produce a beautiful blue flame from biomass, then that will be a great technological achievement. Till today, we don't have a stove like that. And liquid fuels, because of the high energy density, because of the ease of usage, are very easy to use that. And I think this is what we have done. So kerosene diesel is not an issue, its affordability and availability is. And I'll show you a small video. So this actually started as a project for providing light, and then became as a project for providing heat for cooking. And so light became secondary because the efficiency of lighting is around close to 1 to 2%. The most of the energy efficient came in cooking. This is how the technology evolution takes place. And there are still a lot of interesting things that need to be done. And, we need glasses, which is a really sophisticated technology, such that it does not allow the radiation to come out because it becomes hot. So we require infrared reflecting glass so that all the energy will go again into cooking. And then there are some issues on the valves that we developed because these made this whole system as good as LPG, and that is what I would like some of you to help in the valve design. Then in, this also produced good clean water, but we are very greedy people, greedy for new ideas. So we thought, can we utilize solar energy to purify water? Now solar energy is utilized a lot of times in purifying water, UV collector, UV systems, etc. But they produce electricity and then you have a UV system. So we said, can we use solar thermal to do that? And how can we reduce the temperature? Because solar systems don't work when it is cloudy. In Fulton and Pune, for almost 3 to 4 months, it's very cloudy. So what should be done that during this cloudy months also, the water purifier should work? So we developed a very interesting, the complete microbiological testing. We have a fine microbiology lab in our institute where we heated the water at different times to different regimes, temperature time, and 60 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes or 45 degrees Celsius for 3 hours made the water completely pure, which means that all the coliforms, according to the WHO standard, there was 0 coliforms. And that was a remarkable new technology development. And it's not something that was done before. How did we do that? We first filtered the water, dirty water, through a 4-layer sari cloth and then heated that water to these temperatures. And in doing that, it became a completely clean. Then we developed this solar system. Simply, these are the tubular collectors. You put the water in, stagnation temperature, and even we have now gone through this 2 years. All the staff members of my institute drink this water. At least they have never complained about diarrhea. So obviously I think that the water must be pure. And we have found out that except for 3 to 4 days in a year, when the temperature goes below 45, rest of the time it remains for 3 hours above 45. So even on an extremely cloudy day, this is something which can be. So we have given this free of cost to anybody in the world. There are large amount of inquiries. We give the design, let them manufacture, because this is the only way in which it will go. We didn't even patent this. Okay, so simple water cleaning technology, filtering dirty water through 4-layered sari cloth and heating to 60-65, cleans 12 to 15 liters per day. The cost is less than 3,000. Major cost is only these tubes. Very simple system. We fill in the morning and empty it in the evening. Need to develop a solar powered water utility for a village of 30,000 liters per day capacity. In conjunction with absorption refrigeration unit, could provide 5 kg of ice per household. Need to develop such a unit. This is the challenge that I would like to give it to you. I have close to 80 degrees Celsius water coming out every day. If for a village we have 30,000 liters, but for our institute we have 100 liters. How do I produce ice in this 100 liters of 80 degrees Celsius water, so I can give this ice in a small cold box to these poor people as a part of their refrigerator? This is a challenge, and I would like you to work on that. Estimated cost of purified water is 30 paisa per liter. Very cheap system. So what is the further work? Need a cell phone charger with LAN stove, because most of these people have cell phones. They don't have electricity. They have to go to 10 kilometers into Fulton town and charge it. So if we can have a small thermoelectric charger running on the LAN stove, it will be very useful. Need a development of heat-powered small refrigeration systems. Market is huge, 70 to 100 million. We need heat reflecting glass, as I said. There's a need for a very high efficiency fan, maximum meter cube per air per watt, and development of electric two-wheelers. This is a great challenge for you engineers. And availability of kerosene and diesel for rural poor is a major issue. Can we develop technologies by which we can convert agricultural residues into kerosene or diesel type fuel? This is not a simple problem. Large number of groups all over the world are working on developing fossil fuels from agricultural residues, either through the cycle of gasification or some other things, but this is something which can be very useful. Oops. And wholesome food for rural poor. India has the most malnourished population in the world, and this is what I am going to talk about. More than anything, rural poor need better food. You see, we were talking about giving this technology of land stove to the rural poor, but I think if we can have a rural restaurants which provide good wholesome food at a low cost for these poor people, then a lot of problems can be solved. Tremendous pollution in rural households because of cooking. Need utensils and fuel to cook, cost money. After a hard day in the field, the woman is in no shape or mood to cook, very tiring and unpleasant chore, and very poor nutrition because daily rations are brought from PDS shops. So when they come back after working 8 hours in the sun, they get whatever the PDS people can give, and if it's not available, they tend to eat less. This has a great problem for the children. So poor eating and hence rapid aging and poor physical and mental health, including those of children. Best medical care for rural poor is to provide them with good food. Food is medicine for rural poor. And this is something, medicine is required for you and me who have enough to eat. But for poor, the food is the best medicine. In fact, when we are working with these people, we also used to ask them how much they spend money, because the poor eating habit, each household spends close to 400 rupees per month. And they don't even know why they are spending. They will continue saying that we have headaches, and the headache is not because of smoke. The headache is because of the CO. We measured the CO content in these huts when they were cooking on wood stove. It was close to 300 to 350 ppm. It's lethal. And they get headaches, and then the immune system goes down, and they have all sort of different things. So they are continuously using pills after pills. And this is a major problem. If they have good food, then a lot of this medicine can be stopped. Creation of clean rural restaurants based on McDonald model, regular ones but for BPL families, subsidized meal. Use of UID card for meal purchase. What happens? So it has a potential of producing 20 million jobs by having large number of restaurants. Can be a large rural industry fit for public-private partnership, part of CSR activity. But I was giving this challenge to your friends during the lunchtime, and if the corporates can take this one village at a time and set this rural restaurant, it will be very interesting and very useful. Will also help reduce energy per kilogram for cooked food, may facilitate use of renewable energy, biogas, producer gas, efficient wood-fired stoves. Poverty to my mind is not an absence of material goods, but not getting enough wholesome food. We are what we eat. In fact, the richest people are, according to me, are the poorest people, because sometimes they eat very poorly. If you eat very nicely, you are a very rich person. And that is what we should be looking at, rather than the energies, how we eat, because ultimately the whole basis of life is the food that we eat. Cooking is a luxury for rich and upper middle class. For rural and urban poor, it is a chore and a misery. Hence, subsidized meals in a rural restaurant is a welcome step for these people. We interacted with these poor women. We used to always ask them, do you enjoy cooking? And they said, all of them said no. And if you would spend 7 to 8 hours in the sun, I don't think any of you would like to enjoy cooking. Cooking you enjoy when you really are feeling happy. Cooking is really something very therapeutic, and you really enjoy cooking when you have everything taken care of. A small beginning has been made in Chennai, where quite a few such restaurants have started working with huge success and demand. they are called as Amma kitchens. Now I'll come to my decent livelihoods, farming sector. Around 55% of India's population is involved in farming. In US it is less than 4%. We are going towards that. In fact, when we gained independence, around 80 to 85% people were involved in farming, and now it has come to 55. And it is very difficult even today for me to get laborers to run our research farms, because most of them would like to prefer to go to factories because they get more money. They sit there, the factories bring them in their buses and they provide them food. It's a very difficult to get laborers. And why should it not be? Because farming is very hard and very back-breaking work. That is where the engineers come in picture. Small farm holdings, 80% of the Indian farms are less than 2 hectares. This is a unique situation in India. It's not there in the big country, in Western countries where the farms are 1,000 or 2,000 hectares. Only 30% of farms are irrigated. Shortage of irrigation water and also very low productivity. Our productivity is one of the lowest in the world. 33% of the world's standards is India's productivity. You can imagine this 1.2 or 1.3 billion people running on such low productivity. If we increase the productivity through better technology, look at how much better this country will be. 50% farmers are in debt, large-scale farmer suicide, because farming is non-remunerative. Farming is presently a non-remunerative, hence farms are being sold and labor is not available. In fact, large tracts of Indian good farming is going for malls and roads and other things. Need for highly mechanized farms, precision farming will lead to higher productivity. Great challenge for engineers to develop robots for small farms, weeding, harvesting, sowing, etc. Presently, we are working on this technology with Mahindra. It's a very nice combination of a corporate NGO partnership. We have given them 4 acres of farm in our institute. The whole team comes, they bring all the technologies. We are looking at new technologies, how to reduce the tractor size, how to reduce their harvester size, and so on and so forth. This is a long process, but this is we have started. This is my dream, and this is a challenge for all of you engineers. A farmer should become a breeder, because he has been farming for so long, he knows which crop and which section is good. Today he is so overburdened by the nitty-gritty of farming that he does not have time to look at his crop, because he is only concerned about whether he will make enough money. So here I show that drones, and this is the paper I wrote 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and it became a very big thing, the planning commission, all sort of things, people. And this is a drone which will spray also with a, I'll tell you a little bit what it can do. And these are all the machines which will sow and harvest and so on and so forth. What are the challenges? Affordable drip irrigation. Cheap drones. Drones are cheap. How do I put in cameras for disease and stress identification? In fact, it's very interesting. If I can identify the disease and the stress early in my, when the crop is growing, I can immediately put in water or other things and the crops will grow much better. Robots for planting, weeding and harvesting. This is something not out of in the realm of science fiction. It is already happening in Europe and America, except that they are very big machines, because they are big farms, big machines. We want, through our technology, small machines, and small machines are very adaptable for robots because we have small farms. And this is a great challenge, and also it will be a very big industry for India. So farm machines to run either on farm derived fuel, either liquid or electric. And that is where I feel that the electric power for farm machines and for two-wheelers and others will be the future for automotive. Now, these machines will cost a lot of money. So we are looking for a model in which these machines will be owned by a company, and so a farmer simply picks up the phone and tells to come and do this, and they will come, and on per acre basis they will charge. This is already happening, because in whole of Maharashtra, the wheat harvesting is done by these huge harvesters that come from Punjab. You just pick up the phone, they will come within one hour, they will take care of the whole 1 acre, they charge some 600 to 800 rupees, and that's done, because no labor is available. We need more machines like that. And the sad part is that all the engineers come in Emerson. they don't go to agriculture. Most of the people who can't find anything, they go into agriculture. So that is what, for the last 5-6 years, I've been talking to IITians. How do I get the bright engineers of this country engaged in agriculture? Because to my mind, the real problem is agriculture. Because once I mechanize it, I bring in a lot of money, then I'll be able to really improve the quality of wealth, the amount of wealth, and this will have a very far-ranging effect on the whole economy. And venture funds needed for agriculture technology development. There are no venture funds for even renewable energy. We have to talk about agriculture development, but this is something which to think about. Farming sector. Now this is what happens in the whole of Maharashtra. After the sugarcane is harvested, the sugarcane leaves are left behind and the match is put on that. Not only sugarcane leaves, all the agriculture residues are simply burned because this is a part of the waste disposal problem. Farmers do not know what to do with that, so they want their land ready, so they just light it. India produces 800 to 1200 million tons of agriculture residues per year. 60 to 75% of farm produces residues. Now you are all engineers. If you set up a company in which you produce goods and 65 to 70% are not used and thrown away, will you run a company? Yet agriculture is all about that. Because only 25 to 40% is a fruit that you eat, whether it's a grain or a vegetable or anything, rest is all agriculture residue. And this is a huge waste of energy and huge waste of money and effort that a farmer puts. So how can farming ever be remunerative? Because the farmer never gets money for this residue. And this is what we did in 1994. I set up the national policy on use of agriculture residue for power production, and a whole power production from agriculture and from biomass that the Government of India runs came from our. So we were the principal author of that policy. Theoretically, these residues can produce 156 billion liters per year of ethanol, 80% of oil via pyrolysis oil, or 80,000 megawatt of electric power, which is 50% of presently installed capacity. It's a huge amount of energy that is wasted. Energy from farming, if this is used for energy from agriculture residues, can be 2 lakh crore per year industry. Now government should do this, produce policies, but I feel that if the corporate world can take this on small scale and show it that it works and how it will produce energy and how much cost effective it is, then it will be a very great thing. With precision agriculture and increased productivity of farm, more residues will produce and more energy will be available. Now I'll show you a little bit of Nari technologies that we developed through years. We were the first people in the world to produce ethanol from sweet sorghum powered by a solar distillation unit. This was set up in 1987, and this was a complete solar distillation plant, and we ran it for a couple of years, and around 70% of the energy came from solar energy and 30% came from, and at the time I had nothing, no workshop, so I used to get all these things fabricated in Fulton. Then we also developed solar detoxification through the, so after the distillation, what you get is effluent, which is very foul in color, smell and color, and through the solar detoxification and photocatalyst, you are able to reduce the transmission and make it very clean. Then this is a power generation technology that we developed. This is a 0.5 megawatt thermal sugarcane leaves gasifier. This was set up in 1995. It was funded by Rockefeller Foundation, and all the ISC and IITs were very amazed that we set this up. And so I'm just telling you that with very few people and very few resources, one can do a lot of things. It is a junoon, and if the resources are there, and that's why I come here, that you should help, and we can do a lot of things together. And this is the power plant, 10 megawatt power plant. There are a lot of them, almost 100, 120 all over the country. Nari Taluka plan became a national policy adopted by MNRE in 1996. Then we take great pride that we were the originators of electric cycle rickshaws. 1995, in 1999, this electric cycle rickshaw was on the front page of MIT magazine. then it was taken all over by everybody. And in those times, it was very difficult to get the motor or anything. By the way, Madhur Bajaj rode this rickshaw in 2000, and he couldn't believe it. So I said, you should be working on this. He says, you will be taking us out for, and yet till today, they don't have any electric things. So this is something which our corporates should take into. We don't work anymore because all the team has been disbanded. So this is started in 1995. Present e-rickshaw design could be traced to our work. This is what we believe. We sold a couple of dozen rickshaws in Europe and USA. An Austria-based Energy Globe Award. And this is something which we do in agriculture. We sweet sorghum, which was introduced in India in 1970s by our institute, and alcohol syrup grain, safflower, 50% of all release varieties from NARI. How many of you take Saffola oil? Saffola oil. You know Saffola oil. Saffola oil comes from our variety, Nari NH1. It is a very large area, around 5,000 to 6,000 hectares is grown under our variety. We work with Marico. Marico takes a lot of our seed and plants it all over the country, and they take the oil from they take the seed from the farmers and crush it and produce Saffola oil. So we produce a lot of new varieties. I have breeders, agronomists, etc. We have 50 acres of farm attached to our institute. We will do all this agriculture research. And in our animal husbandry division, we see all the things that I am telling you is problems are around us. We are trying to solve some of them through whatever resources we have. So we have these sheep. Maharashtra is one of the largest, have a large number of shepherds. They have one kid. So we put the FECB gene, and now they produce twins. So immediately the farmer's income has increased. And this is also a classical example of very high technology for rural areas. Because the farmers are very happy. Now this has grown very big. All the farmers here in Maharashtra, Karnataka, etc. In fact, the government of Karnataka has taken this up, and they have now made this as a state policy to inseminate all the sheep in Karnataka with the FECB gene, which is called as our Nari Swan gene, so that the farmers can have more income. And precision agriculture. Final thoughts. Purpose of life is to achieve happiness. All of us work to achieve happiness. Some of you may achieve happiness by having a lot of money. Some of you may achieve happiness by having a lot of fame or other things, but we all work for happiness. Giving back to society produces satisfaction and happiness. That is my thinking. And I hope if you do that, no matter how small it is, you will feel very happy. Because this is the innate nature of mankind. Not only should we have our own infrastructure improved, but we should give it back to society in whatever form we have. So, for example, all our material is available free on our site. We believe that knowledge should be made available as free as possible. Naturally, we have to run our institute, so any small amount of money that we get is most welcome, but we like to give as much as possible to the outside. It also gives a purpose to life. Because a lot of times, when I talk to youngsters who are working in corporates, etc., they don't know, they are making money, that's very good. But suddenly at the age of 30, 40 years of age, they start finding hollowness. What are they doing? Why they are here? I believe that by helping the society in whatever way you can, it gives a purpose of life. Helping bottom of pyramid population to improve their lives is giving back to society. And I request that you smart engineers should help us and let us work together in trying to develop systems by which we can do that. It should be done without greed for profits. Anytime I have talked to a lot of corporate honchos of this country, which is how much business will I get? I'll give you an example. My father went to jail with Gandhiji. And it's not that there were not enough crooks at that time. It's very bad to think that only now Indians have become bad. But I believe that Gandhiji, when he gave a greater thought, the thought of improving India, the thought of getting independence, it changed the character of a lot of those crooks. Do you think Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj immediately became very great philanthropist? He was a very money-minded person. Do you think Mr. J.D. Birla became very big philanthropist? They were all very money-minded people. But Gandhiji gave them a higher thinking, something to look forward to. And I think if people are given a higher thinking, if they are challenged for higher thinking, it brings in very good things. So you should work, you'll make enough money in working in corporate world, but give it back to society as a part of your daan for getting happiness. If done actively all our lives, it will make us a better human beings. It will also help us live sustainably. And I have seen with my life, when I came back from America, I was still in the American mode, with all very aggressive, wanted to amass a lot of things. And Fulton and India taught me something else. I live a very simple life. It's a very sustainable life and happy life. And there's a need for NGO corporate partnership. And that is why I have come, and I'm really delighted that you have invited me. And now I'll end this talk by telling you a story. Since I write on spirituality, so I'll tell you something. This is a story from our Puran. I give a lot of such stories. It's a typical Indian story of a sage and his disciples. The sage asks his disciple, when does the night end? And the disciple says, at dawn, of course. The sage says, I know that. But when does the night end and the dawn begin? The first disciple, who is from Kerala, he replies, when the first glimmer of light across the sky reveals the fronds of the coconut trees swaying in the breeze, that is when the night ends and the dawn begins. The sage says no. The second disciple, who is from Himalayas, he ventures, when the first streak of sunshine make the snow gleam white on the mountains of Himalayas, that is when the night ends and the dawn begins. The sage says, no, my sons, when two travelers from opposite end of our land meet and embrace each other as brothers, and when they realize they sleep under the same sky, see the same stars, and dream the same dreams, that is when the night ends and dawn begins. I feel that when bright engineers like you, who have ample opportunities, will light up the lives of less blessed rural population through technology and resources, then it will bring in the dawn of a new and happy India. Thank you very much. These are the
Any questions?
Either the talk was so good, there were no questions, or you were all sleeping after lunch.
No questions?
Yeah.
Sir, you have discussed about using agricultural waste for energy production. Do you think that agricultural waste, which has very low calorific value, can be very efficiently used for almost 50% of installed capacity?
Yes. Because see, when I started thinking about this way back in 80s, United States of America had 6,000 megawatt installed capacity running on agricultural residues. So in 87, I went to United States and there were a lot of my classmates looking at all these plants. They were mostly in California. They developed the fluidized bed technology. So all different fuels, starting from leaves to coconut shells or to walnut shells, all could be. It's a very efficient.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. We are grateful for us to have you here and have this great talk for us. May I request Ananda to give a memento to Dr. Anil.
I have given my books to your library, so if you are interested, These are the two books. And then my book on romance of innovation is on the internet, freely available. And you can see whatever we have done in renewable energy is what is on that book. In fact, this is a human interest story of doing R&D in rural settings. So it's not technology, but it's mostly how we did it, what exactly were the pitfalls, what we encountered. I think it's really interesting reading.
We have a small update on innovation. Ananta, I'll just request you for, we have a couple of presentations, prizes. Before that, we have a small update to all of you. That is, for FY15, we have ideas submitted, that is altogether 800 ideas what we have submitted. The ideas out of that which got implemented are 300 plus. The total IDs which got filed are 165 and the patents filed are 176. So this is a great achievement for AICP. In FY15 itself, we got patents granted, that is 44, and incremental improvements, the I square we have is 373. So I would request to have a great applause. With this, our total patents are 423, which we filed, and we have altogether 106 patents in the name of AICP. Our ID and IP team ran a innovation week, and we have 2 awards out of that. I would request Ananta to present those. The first one is to Neelam Dhane, that's from Climate Technology. She filed 6 IDs. That's the maximum IDs filed in that week. And then we have supervisor from whose team the maximum number of IDs were filed in that week. That is Adarsh Khandelwal. From his time, "15 IDs were filed from his team." So I would request Govind to have vote of thanks for today's event.
Thanks, Mukesh. I think we wanted to award other 2 events actually. One was maximum number of invention disclosures filed this year, today itself, because we have eminent personality here. But since our fiscal year ending is 15 days more left, and also we have an appraisal season, so many felt that many will be filing invention disclosure now. So we will be doing it in coming communication meeting. So there is a 1 award for maximum ID filed, and also there is a 1 award for a team which has filed maximum invention disclosure. And thank for Anil Rajvanshi for taking time and coming and spending us with the whole day actually. He came from, I think he started almost morning 8 o'clock to come to Pune. And this was a very inspirational speech actually. Being an engineer's day today, I think we can commit one thing. Everyone, we became engineers to get jobs actually. We started doing jobs and we have reached a certain state in the society. Can I use my engineering and go and help someone? So that's the thought which he provoked to all of us. So there is a lot of huge opportunities with us where you can go and help it out. Think through those ideas. He has given you many problems. We'll share this presentation to all of you. If there are any ideas, anything you feel can be of help, then we can connect with them and help them out. So thank you, sir. Thanks for coming and sharing that. Also, FY15 was a very great year for us. In another 15 days to go, and we filed 165 invention disclosures, and also very great year of 175 patents are filed. This is the first time, which was very great as such. And also 15 days left up. I want to echo this out. So take your time and beat all numbers this year. Okay. Thanks to all the engineers who filed invention disclosure this year, and supervisor who helped them to do that out. Have a nice and happy Engineers Day and commit to society as well. Thank you.